actually, we're in a very lucky position. We have millions and millions of messages coming through our system, so we can see all of those messages coming through. But you can use also AI technology to help measure the impact of the experience as well by doing things like measuring sentiment. So you can see real time whether a guest is positive or negative. In fact, we have, behind the scenes, we have brand benchmarks on how well certain brands are doing in terms of positive interactions with customers. What you can also do is use AI to help categorize those into departments. So I can see, how's the reservations department doing? How's the concierge? How's the spa? How's the F&B? So you're then able to see what the positive or negative intent is of the conversations coming in by department. And often it allows you to see that in real time. So instead of having to wait for a guest to leave and 24 hours later you may get a survey, in real time. So if you've got service recovery actions you need to take, you are able to take that while the guest is still on property. So there are lots of new ways, and I think that constant feedback from guests is going to be a much more productive way of measuring the experience in the future and really helping people change their way they interact with customers during that stay.
Yeah, and I give you an example this is on the airline sector, just around how AI is being used there. So if you think of an airline coming in, the turn of the airplane, and historically, even the hospitality space, people are still using WhatsApp, they're texting. No one's on like a complete kind of communication collaboration platform. So at Microsoft, we have Teams, which I know we all use for calls or Zoom or whatever. And then we have a frontline worker product called Teams Frontline Worker. So when the plane comes in, before the flight leaves or lands, everyone above the wing, below the wing goes onto one platform, communication collaboration platform. So now we're understanding exactly what all the employees are saying around the flight or issues associated with the flight. And then in the network operations center, where I'm managing, 200, 300, 500 flights a day, historically, all I knew was when the red flag went up for maintenance, that there's an issue, the red flag went up. Now what Gen AI is doing is it's listening to the employee comments in real time, understanding the exact sentiment, and then it's saying to the network operations center, hey, based on the chatter, there's a 90% probability this flight's going to be delayed. So what we're doing now is the ability to give the network operations center about 10 more minutes, maybe 20 more minutes back in a day to make a better decision on that flight, and then of course the cascading effect like that. So, simple in the hotel space, if you have a group movement, everyone's on the same platform, it can listen to the chatter and then it can recognize, hey, there's an issue over here, it's happening, and then it points to, who can address this specific issue. But anyway, any usage of Gen AI can be, I don't even think we know, we're at the 10-yard line, 15-yard line, we've got a long way to go. But the use cases are just fascinating on driving more communication, more collaboration, and then ultimately it drives a better customer experience.
From a Forbes travel guide perspective, what we care about is what that guest experience is. So many of you know our standards, and sometimes we all get caught up where, I don't mean Forbes travel guide per se, but okay, these are the standards, and folks in the hotel are focused on your brand standards, our standards, and others, and all of that's important, but it's all about our guests, right? Which are your guests. It's about what's going to translate to an experience, and many of you may know that whether it's technology like AI or whether it's a chat bot or texting with employees that may be partially automated, it's just got to work. So we don't dictate with the standard of how you should go about making that experience for the guest. We simply tell you that this is a standard and something very important for that experience to be wonderful for the guests. And like Claytor, all of you do an exceptional, world-class, right, ability to deliver that, those wow moments, to exceed, go above and beyond. And technology has just enabled us over time, but sometimes, I think as Rich said earlier this morning, you don't want to press, a button on the iPad to have like the drapes open and the toilet flushes, right? So it's got to work. And oftentimes there can be something where the technology is, oh, you send a text over here to the restaurant and nobody responded, right? Or somebody has a QR code and there becomes a broken link. So even before worrying about AI, I would just make sure that the technology that you're putting in works and ensure everything is providing the experience for the guests.
we've got to understand the downsides of the technology so you can understand what we don't want to do, is if I'm going to a city, I want something that's going to be unique. I want something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. That's part of the reason I travel, and I'm sure many people here travel. So we've got to be really careful that the technology doesn't take over and recommend the same place over and over again that becomes increasingly popular and actually it's not unique. And that's one of the things I think we have to be very careful of when we're using some of these technologies.
I'd say, and to me, that's what is really unique and will continue to be about Clay Door. And what I mean by that is, no amount of AI is going to change what all of you do that's exceptional, which is providing unique access, unique relationships, the kinds of experiences you provide, not just the personalization where AI may help you know a guest or many things, or what was done for a guest maybe last year or 3 years ago you didn't realize was already given maybe even before you worked at a particular hotel. But you're never going to find those experiences that you provide online or an app. And even if it's the same restaurant, the treatment of the guest coming from a Clay Door, the relationship with the chef, with front of house, the treatment, the experience, and many of those experiences are because of those relationships. So I look at it as AI may help augment. People are going to come to you just the way they Google now, and they're like showing you in real time, hey, what about this? Right? That's going to happen with AI too. I actually don't think it's going to be that much different in what you're already used to with people Googling and having something right in front of you. So to me, part of the strategic differentiation and sharing the message of Clay Door is continuing what makes you unique and differentiated that no amount of AI will ever replicate.